Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, joined on this fine opening night, Tuesday night, by Raj Chapalu. The Lakers win their first opening night game of the LeBron James era. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 110-103. We're going to be talking about the game. We're going to be talking about Anthony Davis. We'll talk a little bit about LeBron and Bronny making their history. And just kind of enjoy this one, man. It's been a long time since we talked about basketball. It feels like it's been a long time since we talked about basketball that made us feel truly good, as this game does. And it's going to be a fun show. So before we get going here, a couple calls to action. Please do hit that subscribe button. If you guys are watching live here on YouTube, hit that like button. That helps us in that old Al Gore's rhythm. And then we will also, I will also ask you, if you guys are listening to this in the morning, to please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Raj, are you currently touching the ground? Are you vibrating at such a rate that you might float through like walls and stuff? Are you okay? Like, do we have to do it? I saw you're drinking straight whiskey right now. Is that just to calm the nerves because of how high this game, the heights that this game took you to?
Right. Yeah, no, not straight whiskey. Just want to, for the record, that's pure apple juice. So pure fruit. It's my celebratory drink on a weeknight. No, I'm super excited. That was so much fun. Even when Minnesota cut into the lead and I kind of felt, the butterflies, I was like, this is good. Like, this is against a good team, and I have confidence that we can get the win. No, that was super exciting to see all the stuff. Obviously, the preseason was very up and down, and, it felt like a team that was unprepared. But they came out tonight, and it felt like, a lot of the structure that they were talking about, I thought you saw it. I thought you saw a lot of what they were talking about in camp come to fruition. And yeah, this is it. Like, I didn't like them trade from Minnesota. I think Julius Randle is a very, tough fit for them, to put it nicely. But that's a real legit good team that had Anthony. They had no players on their injury report. There's no missing this guy, missing this guy. That's a healthy Minnesota team.
Missing Cat. I think they missed Cat.
Yeah, Cat, who's on man. I don't want to talk about that, the other game. But yeah, like that Minnesota team, that's a legit team that's going to be pushing for 50+ wins. And the Lakers kind of controlled this game throughout. Like, Minnesota did have one or two runs in the fourth, other than just tough jump shots from Anthony. Like those, I thought we controlled this game, man. I'm so hyped. We have 3 days until the next game. Like, I have so much time to watch and dissect, this game and go back and forth. But no, that's a lot of fun. It's good to be back, and it's good to be over 500 right away, not climbing some hill, and we can get back to 500 the next game. Like, it's so nice. It's so nice.
It like dawned on you like what the next 4 games look like. As you said that. No, I think this was a big game for the Lakers to take, because their first 5 to open the season were this one. They play Phoenix twice. They play Sacramento in between those 2 Phoenix games. And then they play Cleveland in Cleveland, where that team always gets up to play LeBron. Now, LeBron always gets up to play there too. But, sometimes you see weird things happen in those kinds of road games. And so, winning this one, starting the season off this way, I thought this was their best chance at a win during this 5-game stretch, because of Minnesota's, they're on that learning curve, man. Like you meant, we joked about Cat, and we joked about, I think the Knicks are on that learning curve too. And, my concern with Cat going to New York in the first place was that I didn't think he really meshed with their culture of like flying around defensively and really getting after it. And then, you kind of saw that tonight. The Celtics were really picking on him and his kind of lazy feet defensively. They really caught him on his heels and knocked down, 29 or 30 3-pointers in that game. And then on the other side of it, and this is, by the way, like, I think what I said at the time, felt like a lose-lose trade for both teams, because I don't think Cat really fits in. What made New York special last year was having 5 players who were
Gritty.
like
Yeah.
relatively undersized, but flew around all over the place. Craig played crazy defensively, played 49 minutes in a 48-minute game if they needed to. And you would see how that goes. And then, on the other side of it with Minnesota, I thought Minnesota had kind of tapped into something last year, and I think that going from Cat being an elite 3-point shooter at the 4 or 5 spot to Julius Randle, who was like okay for his position, is a big step back. And I thought Anthony Edwards kept driving into crowded lanes. Yeah, we'll keep on going here. I do want to talk about Fernando Valenzuela here in a second, but yeah, like this was I know you don't know who that guy is, but I
I
promise I
felt
will
so
explain.
bad. I was like, was that a Laker that I should know? Or, I was about to look that up. I have Google open
No,
right
but
here.
like before we get to that though, like just like in initial thoughts on the game, I think the most important takeaway here was how physical, because you trade Cat for Julius Randle. I think you give up stuff on the offensive side of the ball, but you shouldn't lose stuff in the physicality and rebounding
Yeah.
respect. And I thought the Lakers just kind of bullied the Wolves in this one. And if you're doing that without Vando against one of the teams that is one of the most physical teams in the NBA, like if you're able to do that tonight, that's a pretty big development.
So I think you're gonna like this. LeBron and Bronny had their post game, interview with Taylor Rooks, and his first answer when he was asked what was the difference tonight, LeBron's like, "Yeah, we had a great game plan." Like, it's just funny to hear. Like that's like his first answer right away. To me, the difference within that, Anthony, and I think the emphasis on offensive rebounding was there. You could see it all night. But Rui's start, like they need that Rui Hachimura for 82 games. And I thought Rui's physicality on the guy that you mentioned, Julius Randle, I thought was like changed the game right away. It changed the tenor of how that game felt. Randle is the bully ball guy. In my opinion, Randle will eventually come off the bench for this Minnesota team. I just think it doesn't make sense to start him next to Gobert. I just think that fit is just leaves Ant in a telephone booth.
Yep.
But I thought Rui's like
Especially with
physicality.
McDaniels also out there.
Right.
Yeah.
McDaniels can shoot, but yeah, and the DiVincenzo, who I think is a good shooter, but undersized. I thought Rui's physicality on Randall to start was awesome. And he had a 3 right away. He had a poster dunk right away. He had an offensive rebound, and then he had a weak side block as well. And I don't know what differences JJ is whispering versus what Ham was whispering in Rui's ear. Like I'm not sure what the difference in words were, but you could tell like Rui's physicality, I thought, changed this game. And if he can be that physical guy, that really changes things. It allows LeBron to not have to be that every night. It kind of boosts AD on the offensive glass, who we'll of course talk about later. But I thought Rui's physicality was great. Austin was awesome. Anthony, we put Austin on Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter. He was the primary defender on Anthony Edwards, and I thought he did his job. Anthony Edwards was like looking to attack switches off of that. I thought his physicality showed up. D'Lo was still playing like it was a preseason game. It was a very strange, D'Lo game. But I thought
Until the fourth, it was the weirdest thing. It
yeah,
was like
yeah,
he came out there in the fourth quarter, and it was like, "Oh shit, we're actually like playing, huh?" Like
this one counts. Yeah, yeah, strange.
All right. Before we move on, I do really want to spend a little bit of time on this because one of the things about like my content that I've always really kind of wanted was I wanted to connect Lakers fans and Dodgers fans, and it's something that like Odyssey I think is going to empower me to be able to do here moving forward. And Dodgers fans and Rams fans and Kings fans and whatever team it is that you root for in the Southland. And tonight is a just giant loss to those of us who root for the Lakers and the Dodgers. Fernando Valenzuela, it means a lot to me personally. You see this, Raj? So he's a pitcher,
Okay.
and in his windup, this would terrify me if I was a batter. But
Okay.
in his windup, he would look straight up into the heavens before he would throw his pitch, and just like completely lose sight on purpose with the strike zone. So like just imagine a shooter, standing there at the wing, shooting a wide open three, and then like randomly looking the other direction before they shoot. He was just like, but he caught the LA market by storm, because he is Mexican. There's a giant Mexican, component to the city out there
Sure.
in Los Angeles and in Southern California. And he bursts onto the scene as a rookie pitcher, does things that like we had never really seen a rookie pitcher do. Won a World Series with the Dodgers in 1981. And then, because the Dodgers have a rule kind of similar to the Lakers rule where players only get their numbers retired if they make like Cooperstown, if they make the Baseball Hall of Fame. His number didn't go up into the rafters up until this year. They finally corrected that. He had been apparently dealing with some real health issues here over the last year, and it made it all the more special that he did get to see himself celebrated on that day. Get his number is forever enshrined. And for me, being a Mexican, man, like, it sometimes feels like in the sports world we kind of get overlooked, kind of like we don't really matter in like these, in in the LA identity, and in the national identity, and to have a Mexican have an impact on the Dodgers in the way that he did just meant a lot to my people. He's all of our favorite pitchers of all time, and he was such an exciting, and he stuck with the Dodgers organization. He was their color commentator for the Spanish calls of these games. Just absolutely loved baseball, absolutely loved the Dodgers, absolutely loved being a representative of the Mexican community in Los Angeles. And we are seriously going to miss him. 63 years old. He passed tonight. So fucking young to lose somebody with that much spark for the world that we live in. So RIP to Nando. Gracias para todos for everything that you did for us. This is a big, big loss for all of us who really, really love the Dodgers. And then, pretty simple, Dodgers, go out and fucking win it for Nando. Go out in there and win this thing. Actually, ironically, when the Dodgers beat the Yankees in 1981, that was the one World Series that Fernando won. They could go out and have that full circle moment. But yeah, RIP to Fernando Valenzuela, just an absolute icon in the baseball community, Dodgers community, Mexican community, all of those things. I would not feel like I was doing my job if I didn't mention him tonight.
I think I remember he had a 30 for 30 as well, if I remember that correctly. I think ESPN
Yeah.
did some movie on him too. So I do remember that. But that's something I have to go watch. But yeah, that's tough. 63 is way too young. That's rough.
So young. All right. So let's go ahead and segue awkwardly back to basketball talk here. And the first thing I think we have to hammer home here, Anthony Davis was incredible. Again, I mentioned this in a couple prior shows. Andy Bailey kind of combined all of the top 10 lists from all of these various platforms and stuff like that, the major platforms that put together their like top 100 or top 50, however many players lists. And Anthony Davis came in at 11. The player who kept him from being in the top 10 was Anthony Edwards. And if you watch this game, not a single person watching would say like, yep, yeah, Anthony Edwards definitely better at basketball than Anthony Davis. I still think that Anthony Davis is the most underrated player in the NBA right now. He did not receive a single vote in a poll for most versatile defenders in the NBA. Shouts to Darvin Ham for allowing things to get to that point. And he just went out there and was everywhere that the Lakers needed him to be. I was blown away by the game that he had, shooting, rebounding, blocking shots, disrupting anything else defensively.
Yeah.
What an outstanding game.
Uh, so I've said this all summer, Anthony. I don't think it's a coincidence that like this is after an Olympic run. Like I think the Olympics were amazing for Anthony Davis. Like he's able to come in full conditioning and in mid-season form. The jumper, the handle looks tight. I don't know, something about Gobert, him and LeBron both gave Gobert a bunch of like disrespectful looks after every single shot that they make, a bunch of like, you can't guard me faces, and something about the Gobert matchup. Maybe it's the 20 DPOIs that Gobert has in his house,
Yeah.
split all over that gets AD going. But no, he was awesome, dominant on both ends. The 3-pointer wasn't really there, but the mid-range shot, which I think is 3,000 times more important, was there. It was blocking shots, changing shots. He went to the bench, and again, it was a little bit like, can we survive just these minutes? Can we give AD a 3 to 4 minute break? But no, he was incredible. Dominated Nas Reed every single time he wanted the single coverage matchup against Gobert. Scored on him, got to the rim, got fouled, and ones. Variety of shots. He had a driving one-handed floater shot that went in, where again gave the he can't guard me look, and just I think he had like 15, 16 free throws, 36 and 15. Tied Wilt Chamberlain for fourth most with 15, 35, and 15 games as a Laker. Amazing. This is what like an MVP looks like. Like forget DPOY, like put that to the side. This is what an
He was like, he was
that's on the
like,
back burner. Yeah.
that conversation's fun. No, I'm coming for this one.
Right. You didn't want to give me that one. Let me go get everything. No, this was what an MVP performance was tonight. Like LeBron really got to coast through a lot of this. Had 8 points, I believe, going into the fourth.
Yeah.
Because AD really carried. If we could just hit some open shots, this would have been a blowout going the other way, going the way for the Lakers. But we couldn't. 3 for 19 from 3 at the half. I believe 4 for 25 from 3 going to the fourth. AD offensive rebounds just absolutely dominated. Again, I'm gonna keep saying this is a physical Minnesota team. Julius Randle, his effort was, waxing and waning there, but like that's a physical dude that like is accepting of the challenge. Gobert is at least 7 foot and a good defender. Nas Reed is a 7-footer as well. Like, but they had nothing for AD. Just a monstrous start to the season. 36 and 16, I believe he finished 4 blocks as well, which is getting like slid under the rug there too.
I think, and look, JJ is incredibly good at the quote game.
Yeah.
Like I actually think like he kind of rehearses some of his quotes to make sure that he like absolutely nails some of them. But I think my favorite quote from JJ this year was, or this leading up to this year, was how they are going to empower Anthony Davis to the extent that he wants to be empowered. You want to go win it, Defensive Player of the Year? All right, fine. We'll put you in position to win Defensive Player of the Year. You want to win MVP? You want to be first team All NBA? All right, fine. We'll empower you to that level too. And I thought tonight was just really put on full display what that meant, right? Because we did not see, to be completely honest, we didn't get a dress rehearsal in the preseason.
Right.
I didn't think we like a lot of the offensive looks that we saw from AD, like as the hub tonight, we weren't getting in the preseason either, because there weren't enough reps to go around in those few minutes that those main rotation players were playing last year. In tonight's game, I thought he was the hub in some stretches. He spent equal time, I thought, as the hammer or the nail, depending on what the Lakers needed there. Just an absolute fucking Sharknado defensively on the other end of it, where sometimes like he had the like my 2 favorite highlights from AD tonight. We had that block on Gobert at the rim, and then screamed at the crowd. Also very vocal tonight, I thought too.
Animated.
Getting right in Anthony. By the way, like to make Anthony Edwards kind of go like, kind of like, whoa, because he had that M1 and then Ant kind of chirped back at him. And then AD chirps back at Ant, like, no, and one,
Right,
it was like, it was my favorite moments, I thought, of non-basketball moment of the game, where he was like, no, I'm not backing down. you'll back down. And Ant kind of walks the other direction. To get Anthony Edwards to shut up is like, honestly, he deserves an award in and of itself. I was just so impressed by that Anthony Davis game. And like, this is the kind of game that he'll have against smaller front courts. You know,
Right.
he'll sometimes kind of feast on an undersized, you know, I don't know, who's a smaller front court.
Like OKC, he would like really
Okay,
do well
yeah.
against the
Yeah,
OKC
like
guys.
pre
Yeah,
Hartenstein, OKC, like
right.
he would play really well against them, and then kind of struggle sometimes, you know, with the physicality that Minnesota can offer. Though, like you said, he does kind of get up for Gobert games. This was incredible to watch. This was and again, like this is one of the things that I wrote for Clutch Points. You know, the yesterday, today, I think everything is mixed in together. Um, I wrote that like if Anthony Davis is empowered to this level and is actually better this year than he was last year, and LeBron holds serve and is as good as he was last year, then the Lakers' floor and ceiling go up, right? You combine that with JJ Redick being better than Darvin Ham, which I think we can
Yeah.
say coming off of one game to the extent that we can, I think is true. Like that was a special performance from Anthony Davis. It's the kind of thing that like we is not normal. You don't see that kind of shit from players very often on both ends of the court.
Right, and it's just one game, but I think some trends that like you can just tell from this one. I don't remember a point where I was like, man, get 80 the ball. Right. It's like 80 has
Yes.
15 or 10. Like I don't remember one point where
Yeah.
like they gotta get 80 the ball. Everything was running through him. A lot of stuff I feel like JJ kept in the pocket to like release tonight. Some of the stuff I did not see in preseason at all. All those inverted screens, they had 80 at the high post, they had him at the low post, depending on who was guarding him. A lot of variety in his offensive attacks. He was dribbling it up the court. A lot of times where he was a screener or he was getting screened for. Just a lot of variety where like you can take advantage of his ball handling. And again, like if you put the volume up, I posted the like Gobert can't guard me, and then obviously the portion of Twitter posted like what AD shooting. I don't care what AD shooting, man. If he had 7 of 20 or whatever he was dominating that ball game. But yeah, like I like the volume of shots he was getting up. I think he only took like 2 to 3 threes. I don't remember the exact amount, but the mid-range pull-ups, the confidence with the ball handling, the getting, accepting of contact, getting to the free throw line above double digits, like that's when he's at his best. And yeah, it looks like JJ's just in the team's ear, just get 80 the ball here, get him at the top of the key. Felt very much like an AD run offense. I was wondering what that would look like, and I thought you saw a lot of that. That's like an offense, anything to where like Austin can be the point guard, right? Because it's not a lot of pounding the rock into the floor. It's kind of like we're gonna work off our talented big man. A lot of back cuts. AD, I believe, had 3 or 4 assists as well to like cutters off the baseline. No, this was an just incredible performance to start the year. He looks ready. Like 80 looks freaking ready to go.
He looks thinner. Like he looks at the very least he looks more explosive. You know, he's
Yes.
more willing to get downhill. Like I don't know. I've thought the last couple of years, especially, the last couple of years, I've thought that like with the focus of playing so much center, it was just like, all right, I have to swell up. I have to get ready to body with these guys in the post as much as I can. And I thought they kind of took away from what makes Anthony Davis special. When AD, like peak AD
Yeah.
is too quick laterally and vertically for bigs, for centers, and too big for fours. Like that combination.
Right.
And I thought tonight was just like such a perfect. He was bringing the ball up the court, like he was
Yeah.
like the safety valve there. You mentioned that like the 2 or 3 threes that he took, looked super confident taking those. I think he made up for like half of the Lakers threes that they made
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
Like,
Him and Dalton.
it was just I incredible performance for him. And by the way, like a great tone setter, right?
Yeah.
This is a season where like, all right,
We're
how
serious.
long have
Yeah.
we been waiting for Anthony Davis to take over the reins from LeBron, and for LeBron to be able to kind of coast through this one and enjoy the history that he made with his son? And then for AD to kind of take care of like the basketball here, like such an important game, I think, for the tone of what this season should be.
Right. And like this is not LeBron's fault. It's not AD's fault. It just felt like to me the last few years, AD was kind of aging with LeBron in a strange way.
Yeah, yeah,
like it was
yeah.
kind of like LeBron's the old guy, and then AD was also kind of
It was
acting
like
towards
adding
as
age,
yeah, like he was
adding years to, like it's
like,
like, man, LeBron's approaching age 39, and what? How did AD jump up to 35?
Right, again, I truly think, and this is we've seen this with a ton of players, even like below 80s caliber, but guys who practicing with Anthony Edwards, I'm sure every day, like makes you feel younger. Practicing with doesn't make you younger, but practicing with KD or all the guys on the Olympic team, like having that competition all summer, then you walk in and like you're in better shape. You have to be better from that. Like I don't think that's a coincidence that he started like this with coming off an Olympics run where he was key and vital to their team. No, he looks in shape. Like he just looks great. Looks like an MVP candidate. Lakers gonna need it. I still have so many defensive concerns when he's not on the floor. I think we're gonna have to experiment a lot, like trying to find what works with that. But no, they were dominant when he was on the court. I gotta look at his plus minus because I think the only Minnesota run really came when he was off the floor. It felt like they dominated all the minutes that he played. So yeah, just incredible game from AD.
The kind of perfect segue off of that is how big the Lakers felt in this one.
Yeah,
I think two main differentiating factors here. I think Gabe played bigger than he is in this game. Finally, like he needs to, because he's not a big guy. So when you compare the way that he kind of plays to the way that D'Lo plays, and sometimes Austin also was very effective physically in this one.
oh yeah,
I still don't love his shot selection in JJ's system. Seems like he's getting shots up for the sake of getting shots, specifically threes up for the sake of getting them up. But I thought tonight defensively and in the rebound game was really good. The difference of the Lakers go to the bench and the guys coming off of it are Max Christie and Dalton Connect. Whereas like last year or the last few years, it was like this clown car of combo guards,
yeah.
like that I think makes a big difference. But even having said everything that we said about Anthony Davis, I think this is the spot where we have to give Rui his flowers, because I thought he was you talk about the difference in physicality from the Lakers last year to this year. I don't know what conversation or communication breakdown took place between him and Ham last year that JJ has rebuilt that bridge to an extent to where like Rui was the kind of small things player that we have been begging him to become, and he knocked down a couple shots too, but I thought he was the kind of physically imposing guy that he needs to be if he's going to work in that starting five.
He looked way more defined and understanding of his role, right?
Yeah.
There was not very much like there was a lot last year. It was like, where's Rui going? Like, what is that? Shot over three people. We try to clear a side for him and he dribbles into five guys and trying to get a fall. I thought he like really understood his role last year too. I think as a baseline cutter, he really improved, but a lot of places where he was cutting to open areas, right? And getting to that mid-range shot instead of just back down, fade away. That physicality was there. We need to see it when the offense doesn't kickstart it, right? I thought again tonight he had a three right away, had a baseline dunk. I thought that really like juiced him up, and then I thought that kept him going the whole game as like a rebounder, as a physical guy. Randall is also like the perfect guy for him to guard. Like it's like the exact archetype that he is, just the physical bruising forward. But Rui's super important, and I think like you get behind AD, it's like Jackson Hayes. And like your backup fours need to be physical, need to be half rim protectors, need to be able to switch on the perimeter. And I thought Rui did a nice job of that. Anthony Edwards was trying to hunt him. Like when it was funny, Anthony Edwards was trying to get Austin off of him. Like it's a real sentence that was happening in the fourth quarter. But he was calling up Rui for the screens. And I thought Rui did a nice job, stayed down, put his hands up, contested. Yeah, JJ's found something. Again, it's early. We'll see, how this works going on. I'm still worried about our perimeter defense and Rui's foot speed as other teams come in, especially on Friday with the Suns, who have a lot of movement shooters and that are really it's tougher to kind of lock into the paint. But no, Rui was super physical, got his rebounds, got block shots as well. And just the combination of him with LeBron and AD just as a physical trio is a place where you can kind of get away with smaller guards. I didn't really notice Gabe was out there for that long. Like I think that's a good thing and a bad thing. I
Yeah.
guess I think offensively he was extremely
He's your
quiet.
fifth guard, so like you shouldn't notice him too much, you know?
Yeah, I would like him to take a few more shots. It felt like he was very passive, just not confident in his offense. But no, Rui was great. I think Rui's super important to that second unit, especially. They're trying to kind of put as much size out there as they can when AD's sitting, and we got a lot of Rui, LeBron minutes out there with Hayes actually as well, which I thought was an interesting combination. But no, great start for Rui too to start the year. Good to see him like have confidence early on. Last year he started really cold, then like broke his nose. Then was coming off the bench when he thought he was starting, like a lot of like weird roles for him. So he looks very confident and has a defined role with this team.
Yeah, and by the way, like, Vando, if he comes back, we got a kind of weird quote from JJ in this one where they were like, "We're not sure when we're gonna get him back now."
Yeah.
All right. No setbacks. We just have no idea when this guy is going to come back.
Yeah.
That was a little weird. Obviously, we're still waiting for more clarity on the Coloco situation. ESPN reported over the weekend that, according to their sources, the Lakers anticipate that he would be cleared very soon. We are now going on 3 days removed from that. For what it's worth, I reported that wasn't the sense that I was quite getting. So we'll see what that turns out. But, if they get either one of those guys back, that makes them a more physical team. We'll see what things look like when Wood gets back too, and that makes them bigger in aggregate as well. And then look, like, the goal to the beginning of the season is really quite clear. Go out and win as much as you possibly can and convince Rob Pelinka to do his job. Like, that's really it, is convince Rob to like push a couple more chips into the middle of the table to give them a little bit better chance than they have right now. Because this exciting win notwithstanding, there are some issues with this team. The margins are very, very thin. I didn't love what we saw from D'Angelo Russell for 3/4 of this game. Great fourth quarter, I thought. Like, I don't think the Lakers win this game without that fourth quarter when he stopped jacking threes and started kind of getting into the paint and started dishing stuff out. Had that great lob to Jackson Hayes, which was a great moment too. Jackson Hayes also, right? Like, can't be your backup, I don't think, and feel particularly great about this team. So I thought it was a great win for this Lakers team. And the point is to stay close enough so that, the line that Rob likes to use is, well, we couldn't find anything that we felt put us over the top. And the further that you are from the top, the easier it is for him to continue to make that excuse.
Right. I think we just have to. You talked about Jackson Hayes. I think that's the correct archetype. That's just not the right person, probably. But I love, like, I can't ask for more from him. He wasn't able to really stop the Conley Gobert pick and roll, like when our bench unit was in. But I can't really expect that. I thought he did a nice job on switches. Anthony, we have to talk about Dalton Connect though. Like, that was, I thought that was extremely enjoyable to watch. A rookie that came in, Candace
All
Parker
right.
on the
Can
broadcast.
I ask you? All right. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you about this specifically.
Okay.
I let Callie out onto Callie's my dog.
Okay.
I let Callie out onto the back patio for a
Mm-hmm.
second and
Mm-hmm.
then heard all of the shuffling because she was going after something behind my barbecue grill. So we had to like move my grill, and it wound up being a possum.
Mm-hmm.
I had to grab this possum by the tail, like walk it down the stairs and let it out behind my fence so that Callie wouldn't kill it. And in the time that it took me to do all of that, I came back and it was a 13-point lead.
Yeah.
I think this was in like the second quarter,
It
if
was
I'm not mistaken.
to start the
What
second.
happened? like, because I came back, like when I left to go save this possum's life, it was like a close game. It was kind of back and forth. The Lakers had taken the lead. The Wolves were like they were taking a lead at some point.
Yeah.
And then I got back and it was like, what? Like I actually like squinted my eyes to make sure I was seeing the score right. What happened? Was it Dalton like by himself? What
So
happened?
it's definitely not a coincidence that it started when Dalton came in. If you remember, Minnesota, I believe, was up 1 after the first quarter. And our defense was actually very solid, but we could not score. And what we did was when we put Dalton in, I thought Candace Parker had a great quote. She said, "It must be amazing to play for a coach that plays like you know, like," and so like it was, and JJ was just, I didn't expect Dalton to get this many plays like called for him right away, but every action was involving him. And he has an attribute that I really like, in players. He's not just a good screener. Like, he makes sure to get contact on screens. And that's so important. A lot of players set like it's not an actual ghost screen, but like they'll just set the pick to set it with no vigor. Like they would, but like Dalton goes and actually sets the pick. And he got a lot of open looks. So I believe the first play out of that was like out of their horn set, and LeBron and Dalton, a lot of screening for each other. And Dalton got like a 3 out of it, got a really nice pass, Jackson Hayes, off of it. He looks like what an older rookie should look like, right? Like he's ready to play right away. Very clear that they have design actions for him. And I thought it just opened up a lot of stuff. Like you just needed one guy that the defense had to account for. This was when Minnesota, Anthony, went super big. They had Naz Reid and Gobert out there at the same time. And then the Lakers countered with LeBron, AD, and Jackson Hayes. And it's just this ginormous battle between the two. I don't believe those three even played a single preseason minute together, which I think is interesting. But the Lakers just went huge. And then they had Dalton connect next to him, and Dalton was getting open shots. He wasn't the reason for the 13-point lead, but I thought he like really relaxed our offense, where we have like an entry point offensively. Like our entry point is a Dalton screen, and we work around that. And no, he was like, that was really fun to watch. Was kind of didn't have as much an impact in the second half. But another player, Anthony, that I did not notice defensively, which I think is a good thing. Like I didn't notice Dalton defensively. The Wolves didn't really go at him. He had a few deflections in transition, some bad passes in transition, but no, I thought that was fun to watch Dalton look every bit as advertised as the shooter we were kind of hoping for in our offense.
So I am seeing a lot of people calling for more Dalton minutes. So he played tonight. He played 16 minutes.
That's
Max
going up.
only played 11. He had 5 fouls. Max has like the worst whistle that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it is like it was crazy. So like Rudy Gobert is moving while he's setting screens, and then he throws up his arms and for some reason gets fouls.
I think 3 of them were like on blocking fouls on Anthony Edwards. Like they were a little bit tough, touchy calls. I'm not saying they weren't fouls, but it was just, it feels like the
given the way that the rest of the game was being played, it was a physical game out there.
Yeah.
Like I felt like Max was getting some kind of ticky-tack calls.
Just during that stretch, it was ticky-tack and Max got in trouble.
Christian Navarro makes an interesting point here that I had no idea about. Connect looked more ready than Christie. I blame Jenna Ortega. Do you know who Jenna Ortega is? She's Wednesday. Well, nope, you won't know who the Addams family is either.
Addams family, the Halloween something, like they're in like the Halloween or something.
Apparently, I googled Jenna Ortega, Max Christie, and they're a thing. That's news to me. Well done, Max.
Is she a singer?
Go, bud.
Or like, is she a singer or like?
No, she's an actress. She plays Wednesday in Netflix made a movie about the Addams family, and and she was like this breakout star over the last year or so. Well done, Max. Good job, Max. If that's why he looked a little sluggish at sometimes, I can't say I blame the guy. But no, like I thought the foul issues kind of took him out of a rhythm. 11 minutes is kind of low for Christie. I think that will go up over the course of the year. Bronny got 3 minutes, obviously, in his run. We'll talk about him in a little bit. I think those minutes will go to Max or to Dalton, so their minutes will go up. Gabe played 17. I think that should probably come down a little bit, seeing as Austin and D'Lo are both point guards, and the Lakers need two guards out there more. So I would like to see Vincent's minutes go down a little bit. Christie and
Mm,
Dalton's go up a little bit. I would like to see Gabe be slotted as the fifth guard there, kind of not break glass in case of emergency. I think that puts him too far down the rotation, but a little bit less time than he spent out there.
yeah,
D'Lo and Russell, they played 34 and 36 minutes tonight. Kind of wonder if they'll play that many minutes moving forward, given how many options Redick has.
yeah,
So, um, yeah, I look, Candace mentioned it. You mentioned it. The Lakers have made it very clear that they think very, very highly of Dalton, and that JJ thinks very, very highly of Dalton. I think we'll probably see a situation here where he starts to get a lot more minutes moving forward. And look, it's like we said at the top. I'm not rooting for one over the other, by the way, when it comes to Max and Dalton. I just want the competition, and I want that to
yeah.
make both of those guys better. And whoever gets the lion's share of those minutes, I want them to earn it and make the Lakers better as a result of it. And if that's how this plays out, then cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting because again, I wasn't. I have to go back and watch, but the game minutes weren't like very promising for me. I thought he was okay defensively. He closed late in the fourth as well, I believe, for D'Lo. But yeah, no, I love what I saw from Connect. Max has to hit some open shots, like he just has to. Like I think he was pressing a little bit. He took a bunch of really
Yeah.
tough threes, fading threes. Just trying to see one go down. I still thought his defense was solid. Again, we threw him on Anthony Edwards and got some tough fouls, but his rebounding was there, his physicality was there. 11 minutes is very low, but yeah, Anthony, I watched Connect tonight. I'm like, man, that dude needs to play like that. Like the shooting on this team again tonight was a weird one because D'Lo was, I believe, 1 for 8 or whatever it was from three
Yep.
for the
1 for 7.
whole night. 1 for 7. Yeah, Austin didn't really
Reeves
have his
was over
three ball.
5.
Yeah, so no one was really hitting, and like Dalton came in right away and hit one. I was like, man, like it just opens up the floor, especially if we're gonna play that big. Camaras didn't play tonight, which I thought was interesting. I really thought he was going to like enter in the rotation somehow. But if we're gonna go this like
Well, the
LeBron,
thing is,
hey,
Raj, he's
yeah,
not good at basketball.
okay,
So, like,
sure, but I just for the size and
yeah,
defensive capabilities. But if we're gonna go Hayes, LeBron, and AD, like you got to have someone with gravity out there. And Hayes, excuse me, and Dalton, even as a rookie, has like legit. He got LeBron a baseline dunk because they
yeah.
ran this back screen action for him, and they cheated up, and LeBron got this like baseline slam. It's just like having someone with that. It's like Malik Beasley, but he's 6'8" and he actually hits shots. Like it's just a godsend for this team. So yeah, you're right. 16 is probably lower. I think it's going to depend on his shot making and if he can stand out there defensively. But the instincts are there. He's an athlete. He had a driving finish as well at the rim. Like that dude's a confident dude. Yeah, I love what I saw
I mean,
from
you
him.
look at the bench plus minuses.
Yeah,
Hayes -1, Gabe -2, Max -5, Bronny -5 in 3 minutes. And then Dalton was a +7.
mm,
Like given how kind of iffy the bench looked out there, I don't
yeah,
think it's necessarily a coincidence. And like, yeah, you have the one run to point to, but like you said, when teams see a fire alarm shooter out there, like fire alarm shooters open things up, and he's one of those guys. And by the way, like this is game one. As he becomes more attuned to NBA
yeah.
speeds and how quickly, the rhythm of shooting there, that's only going to get better. All right, let's see if we have anything else. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have to talk about the history that LeBron and Bronny James made tonight. Um, I thought overall it was fairly well executed, but also really kind of pointed to the amount of work that it took to execute it. The Lakers, when Bronny went in there, were up 14, had all the momentum in the world. And then I thought the offense got kind of stagnant. I thought like everybody was kind of bumping into each other. You did get that one highlight play from LeBron, that tomahawk dunk on the baseline. But I thought, and here's where I'll give JJ credit. And I think this is where I think it does go a long way in signifying like the partnership between him and LeBron. Because
Yeah.
clearly LeBron wanted to make the history tonight. The Lakers wanted to make the history tonight. But also JJ was like, hey, yeah, we also have a game to win here, you know?
Right.
And Bronny only played that 1 3-minute stretch. I was sweating through all 3 minutes that he was out there because like you have Anthony Edwards out there, man, and Minnesota was a really effing good team last year, and you give them any little bit of momentum, as we saw in the fourth quarter. That
Yeah.
game became a 4-point game, way too damn fast. And I think JJ deserves credit for being like, all right, we're good here, cool. Now I want to be absolutely clear here. Cool moment for the James family. Cool moment for NBA history. Insane that LeBron is still good enough to be able to pull this off. All of that stuff is objectively true. But also, for whatever reason, like I don't want to sound like the cynic out there for being like, yeah, also we need to win a basketball game here. You have an opportunity to win a basketball game. Can we bring the focus back to winning a basketball game here? I don't know why that is some like controversial stance.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Again, like you said, awesome moment. It's funny because imagine being the Timberwolves and being like, are they serious? Like, are they serious right now? Like, they think the
Yeah.
lead is big enough right now for them to do this. But no, again, I thought it was a great moment. Bronny came in and ran back and forth. I thought he did like he had one defensive possession on Anthony Edwards that looked like Ant was like, okay, let me show this dude, and he got a nice contest on him. He missed.
Mm-hmm.
Julius Randle hit a jumper on him. But no, it was a cool moment. I thought LeBron would kind of bask in it a little bit more, but he kind of just went on as if it was, just a normal player checking in. There was no special moment, nothing like that. I thought they had a chance to run some action on the side. And yeah, I don't know how they planned. I mean, obviously they didn't plan a double digit lead,
Yeah.
but that's
We're
like
hoping for one.
like it went absolutely as perfect as you could hope for. Like you get a double digit lead. It's like at 16, which is that like bubbling point of like before it's a blowout, but it's still a competitive game. And you get Bronny in there with, I believe, most of these starters. If I remember, I got to go back and watch. I think he and LeBron came in together, and I think they came in with most of the starters in there. Yeah, the offense was a little clunky. I thought LeBron was trying to, create some momentum, some energy in the building to kind of make it not, because it's very clear every eyeball on there was on Bronny, and you could tell there was a little bit tightening. He got the ball, and the crowd would just erupt, and that must be
Yeah.
such a tough moment for him.
He
But
had
yeah,
that 3
yeah,
that looked good, by the way.
it
Like it
did.
looked like it had a real chance of going in.
Mhm.
Didn't wind up going in. And like as he's releasing that shot, you saw everybody get behind him. And like I want to be clear, I think far too few people are looking at this through the perspective of like what might be best for Bronny. But I don't like that's a very different point than Lakers fans aren't pulling for Bronny. I think everybody is really pulling for Bronny. When he goes
Sure.
down to the G League, when that season starts and he starts developing as a basketball player, I will be I will be rooting my ass off for Bronny to succeed. I was really hoping that this went well tonight because if he went out there and then like boom, 10-0 run, like that would have been really awkward, you know.
Yeah,
I what I wanted to see happen was for him to knock down. I think he had an opportunity at a tip in. He had an opportunity at a 3-point shot.
yeah,
I would have loved if he made both of those. I would have loved to get you had the Griffies in town there. Famously, they went back to back the time that they shared a baseball field together. It would have been great to get that kind of a moment between LeBron and Bronny, but you can't quite guide sports in that same way. You can't script sports that way.
no,
That like history happened with the Griffies is so spectacular because you can't script that. You didn't get you get two meatballs thrown at Ken Griffey Sr. and then Ken Griffey Jr. So cool moment. Really
yeah,
happy for all involved. But I'm also happy that it didn't like awkwardly play a role in the Lakers losing or It didn't get awkward where the Lakers were really clearly trying to get him going or anything like that. I thought it was handled really well by JJ. Get him out there, get him get him out there, get him out of there, and then let's move
Yeah.
on. I think that was good to see.
Also, we didn't talk about this in this show, but I thought JJ was I thought that was a hell of a performance for your debut. Like I thought he controlled
Yeah,
the tempo of the game. He called timeouts in the
timeouts.
proper, yeah, especially when the first Bronny run that happened because the Timberwolves cut it, I think, to like 10, called a timeout. I thought Bronny was coming out. Honestly, I thought that was it. I was like, oh, he's probably gonna sub him in. Bronny came back for a second stint. The Lakers pushed the lead, I think, back to 11 or 12, whatever it was. No, I thought this was just an incredibly coached game by him, and for all involved. I thought the Lakers did this really well. Put him in the right spot, right? He didn't just come in. Lakers were down one at the end of the first, and I told you, Anthony, I was like, look, he's not coming in if the Lakers are down. Like I never believed he was ever coming into that type of game. Lakers got a nice solid cushion, and he was able to check in, and LeBron and him and Savannah and Zuri and Bryce all there, and be able to get that moment was super cool. I thought it was funny. LeBron went to the bench one time and just randomly Maxwell Lewis is sitting right next to him. I'm like, it's like, oh, Maxwell Lewis, I'm saying Bronny's teammate in the G League. Just I thought, so just a really cool moment for him though. And yeah, I'm glad hopefully, this was it, and Bronny can focus and develop in the G League, and they got their moment together.
And again, there is no better outcome here for the Lakers than Bronny being a legitimate NBA player down the road. I don't see it happening this year. I may not even see it happening next year. But if he does figure it out, if he does have that like Gary Payton, what is it, GP2? Right?
Mm-hmm. GP2.
If he has that like GP2 run where he really develops in the G League, becomes this defensive presence, he learns to utilize his athleticism, maybe like learns to knock down a couple open shots and stuff, that means the Lakers get another good player.
Yeah.
Like my priority here, my top priority is not LeBron and Bronny making history. My top priority is the Lakers being a good basketball team. And now look, like to some, that isn't their priorities there. You do have a lot of LeBron fans who weren't Lakers fans before who come over here and want to see their GOAT make that kind of history too. And that's their top priority. You know what? Fan the way that you want to fan. But like for me, this was a cool moment. It was still like very clear. I think we can all admit now, right? Photo op. We know what it was. And then we can now move forward, and then next time, hopefully, that we see Bronny and Bron out there on the court together, it will be legitimately earned by Bronny. It will be a moment that like he gets out there and he's an actual NBA player, and those guys can go out there and impact winning together. That to me would be cooler than tonight was, personally.
Sure.
But it is also smart to get it out of the way and then this isn't how it's going to play out because of the content machine that exists. But I would like what is best for Bronny now is to be able to go down there and exist in relative anonymity and just develop, work his ass off, get better, keep getting better. And then the next time we see him, he's more ready for this moment because he was pretty clear he wasn't quite ready for this moment. He's not an NBA player right now.
No, and that's a tough position to put anyone, but I mean, just you could tell every eyeball was on him, and you could tell the nerves were probably there, which is understandable. But no, very cool moment, and like you said, it did not alter anything, didn't impact anything in terms of win losses. I believe he was like a -5, which whatever, the lead eventually got back to where it needed to be. So yeah, I thought great moment for him and the family, and it's clear I think everyone wanted to just get this out of the way. I think also LeBron probably doesn't want to hear this after every game either, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure doesn't want to hear hey, what do you think about why didn't Bronny play? I don't know. He probably doesn't want to answer those questions. JJ doesn't want to answer those questions. Let Bronny develop in the G League. I do think there's a defensive player in there, and I honestly think players who have defensive upside who aren't stars actually have in more of a roadmap to the NBA than offensive players. By the way, GP2, another Laker South Bay guy, a guy who actually
Yeah.
developed with them, was on their team, was in our backyard, was trying to make our team and didn't. I forgot for who we let him go. And then, went to the Warriors pretty quickly after and became this one of the best defensive guards in the league, that, can't shoot. It's just, that was a championship contributor. But yeah, I hopefully Bronny has some type of path there. And the G League's a great place for that. Lakers have hired a whole new developmental staff and new developmental coach, and have a lot of synchronicity between the Lakers and the G League and South Bay. So great moment. Happy for the family. But yeah, now we can move forward.
I did like the whole like gaslighting that they did. It was like, oh well, we don't really, we're not sure that LeBron and Bronny are going to
Right.
be able to. Like, we want to make it natural. We want to make it organic. We don't want it to be forced. This whole thing is forced. You have Ken Griffey Jr. You have Ken Griffey Jr. flying in. Like, I don't think they just happen to want to catch a Lakers game tonight. So like I'm just glad we can all like move on. Like we can all just like consider, like, call it what it is and move on.
As a person who didn't watch anything between those two, like how good were they? Like the Ken Griffeys, like how were they like both really elite at the same time? Like what's their, I guess, NBA comparisons? Like how good were both of them?
Well, Junior wound up being one of the best and one of the coolest players of all time. So
Really? Oh, okay.
yeah, so like you'd have to look for a father or a parent kid combo, where the second kid wound up being like legitimately great. And I think Senior also, I believe, was in an all-star game or two over the course of
Okay.
his career. So he was also a good baseball player. And then in the first game that they played together, they one followed the other, and they hit back-to-back homers, which is like we were trying to figure this out over the back-to-back homers, and it would be like back-to-back 4-point plays.
Okay.
Like something like truly miraculous. Bean and Kobe, Senior was better than
And
Joe
Jelly Bean.
Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know if that's necessarily the comp.
How about Steph and Del Curry, as Omaris puts
That's
up in
probably
this?
closer.
Okay.
I still think Griffey Senior was better at baseball than Dell was at basketball, but that's probably is about as close as you can get. I go,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, especially because of how like evolutionary Steph has been. The thing with Griffey is, not only was he like an actually great baseball player, but he was so fucking cool. Like he was so cool to watch. He has the prettiest swing in the history of baseball. Yeah, thank you, JD. I thought, yeah, Ken Griffey Sr. won made 3 all-star games. So like I don't think Dell made an all-star game in his career. I think he probably participated in 3-point contests, but I don't think he made an all-star appearance.
Yeah.
So like I don't think there's a direct comp. But what's a good part about that comp with the Dell and Steph thing is the impact that Steph had on the sport and the impact that Ken had, or that the Junior had on the sport. Ken Griffey Jr. is just like, go back and like Google Ken Griffey Jr. home run derbies, and it is just beautiful. Like his swing is just the coolest thing that has ever existed in that sport. All right, so let's wrap up here. We have a few starred comments, which means we get to play, if I find it, this thing, especially pertinent tonight. I hated watching all of the
it's not even bring
trophy
that up.
and banner and all right. Rye Guy asks, would Lewis, Gabe, JHS, and Cam get you to about $20 million in salary? Go get Sexton and Kessler with that pick, plus the pick and unprotecting the 27 first from the Russ trade. Boom. don't hate. So I don't need another point guard.
That's how I was gonna say. Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people really, really like the idea of getting Sexton, but then you're getting Sexton. You're not moving D'Lo. I guess if you move D'Lo for a wing, that makes this move make a little bit more sense. But yeah, I do like the idea of going after Kessler though. I think it's really difficult to get a white guy from Danny Ainge, but I do. It's in Utah of all places
Yeah.
too. But like that type of player is the kind of upgrade from Jackson that I think the Lakers could really benefit from.
Yeah, I don't see us getting Kessler either. But I mean, if it takes that to get Kessler, you have to take Sexton. I would really think because Sexton's like legit good. Like that's a good basketball player. It's just I think the fit on this team would be a little bit tough. But he's like a really like tough defensive like offensive guard as well. So, but yeah, I don't think that's the exact passage. Oh, and he threw my guy JHS in there. It looks like so. He's gone as well.
Well, that's it. Ross just blocked Rye Guy on Twitter. Justin Tyndall writes, all offseason was worried Russell wouldn't be mature about the season, thought he just went through the motions on the floor. I wasn't thrilled with D'Lo for the first three
Yeah.
quarters of this game. And I thought there in the fourth quarter, he finally kind of got back to the things that the Lakers need him to do. There's a sequence of like 3 plays. First, he takes a screen at the top of the key, drives to his right, and very easily could have just pulled up for 3 there. Instead, kind of does like the hesitation dribble and then gets into the paint and knocks down a floater. And
Mm-hmm.
then the next time that he has the ball, he's coming up in transition. It looks like he's going to pull up for that transition 3, but instead throws the pass to LeBron. It's an alley-oop for a layup. That was another big play. And then I think a couple plays go by, and then he winds up hitting Hayes on that alley-oop.
Mm-hmm.
And at least offensively, really kind of got the Lakers, because at that time the lead was really kind of dwindling down, and that stretch from D'Lo helped get the Lakers back to a place where when Anthony Davis came back into the game, they had wound up playing those non-AD minutes neutral. So
Yeah.
that was a huge stretch there from D'Lo. And again, a reminder that like I have never. It's not a Cam situation with D'Lo. I do think he's a good NBA player. I have questions about him in the postseason that have mostly been answered, unfortunately. But like, I do believe he's an impactful NBA player when he has his head on right. It just like for the first 3 quarters of this game and then maybe a little bit moving forward, I'm a little concerned that his head might not be screwed on in the right direction.
Yeah, it looked like he was, and I was worried about this, but he's trying to like turn it on after having it off for all preseason. Trying to flip
Yeah.
that switch, and it was a lot of just lackadaisical stuff. And again, the talent's there. He's gonna hit open threes like as the season progresses. But there was a play in the fourth quarter where LeBron hit a hit ahead, and like D'Lo didn't even see a defender there, but decided to do like a flashy no looker to Rui, and like the ball went out of bounds. And I'm like, D'Lo, just take the layup. Like you have a layup. You're way ahead of the team. Like it's only a
Well, I
8 or
think they
9 point
missed a
game.
foul call there. The
Yeah, Rui
defender
didn't get
ran
the ball.
in and fouled Rui.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if they said that like the defender deflected the ball out of bounds or what, but it was a pretty clear foul that
Y-
they missed.
y- y-
But yeah, you're right. D'Lo should have just turned around and made the layup.
Yeah, but he was like acting like we're up 30. It was like an 8, 9 point game with like 3 minutes left. Like just go in and take the layup. Stuff like that I think will fix itself. But I thought, Anthony, the interesting part tonight, I thought it was a lot of like off ball D'Lo, like a lot more Austin on the ball as well. Like a lot more Austin initiating at the top. Austin got his own units to run. I thought D'Lo would get that second unit. It was like Austin getting the second unit to run. I thought that was interesting. And D'Lo eventually got going in the fourth, but that's something I'm going to monitor like going forward. Kind of, it felt like he was kind of quiet, and again, maybe the 1 for 7 from 3 just dissuades him from taking shots. But a little passive tonight.
And look, if he knocks down a couple of those threes, we're probably talking about him a little bit differently.
Yeah, sure.
Make or miss league. Justin Tyndall writes again, whenever I thought we were going to blow this game, AD hit big shot after big shot, was impressed with Rui, thought his lateral quickness has improved or was improved. That point about AD knocking shots down, that was a thing that, like, you made the point earlier, Raj, that last year in a spot like that, it would be like, can we get AD the ball? Like, when's AD
Yeah,
going to take a shot? Like, how many times under Darvin Ham did you look at the fourth quarter and be like, AD didn't attempt a shot after
right.
1 minute to go in the third quarter, or it took AD 13 basketball minutes to get a shot up between the third and fourth quarters. But I thought in this one, he was never not involved and was very, very importantly, always willing to take that big shot, and it happened to knock down more than he missed in with those big shots. I don't think 11 for 23 from the field isn't exactly, anything to write home about. 13 to 15 from the free throw line is great.
Right. That's where the 11 for 23 kind of lies, because the 15 free throws shown that like he was actually would have been a lot more efficient if he wasn't fouled. He was the go-to guy in the fourth quarter. Like, they were like, here's the ball, you have Gobert, a matchup that you like, go attack, and he did. And I thought he really put the game away. Rui's lateral quickness, yeah, it's something I think that's going to be tested against other teams. Again, Minnesota, not a lot of movement shooters that they put out there. Rui's able to kind of stand in in a place. I'm interested what it looks like against a Phoenix team that does run a lot of actions like that. A lot of guys that curl off screen. So it'll be interesting test Friday. But no, right about AD. Big shot after big shot.
All right. We do have one more super comment here from Justin, but I think I'm going to address this on tomorrow's show. Justin writing in, do you think Pelinka or someone else in the front office lies to Ham and or to Redick about injuries? Because there seems to be a lot of mixed messaging in these pressers. I don't think it's quite that simple. I don't. I think it's more. No, I'm going to answer this. Well, I'll answer it really, really quickly. I think Ham, JJ are given talking points on these situations, and those talking points don't always align with reality. And I don't think that makes them lies per se. I don't think JJ is lying to us in those moments, but I think with how involved player camps are at this stage of the NBA, and with how much power agents wield, I think teams are reluctant to piss off agents by releasing too much information on their clients' availabilities or physical well-being. You have a lot of factors here going on. I don't think the Lakers are lying, but I do think that they are very careful not to piss off too many players.
I also don't think this is a Laker-centric issue either.
No.
I saw you tweet about this as well. Like, Philadelphia was saying that, their stars were on pace to, be ready for the regular season. And Paul George and Joel Embiid are both out to start the year. And there's no way that was the plan. That the plan was supposed to be both of them ready. So, I think this is a issue around the league. Look at Kawhi Leonard, right, as well. Ty Lue goes up there and says one thing and then says, "Oh, I didn't know either. Like, I found out with you guys," kind of, stuff that comes out. So, I think it's an issue around the league.
All right. That is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge podcast. Longer opening night one because of, it's fun to talk about wins. Like, it just is. And there was a lot to talk about coming off of this game. So a quick reminder to the 2,000 of you who are currently watching live, please do head on over to youtube.com/@LakersLounge and hit the subscribe button there. Hit the like button on this show and on this episode. That really helps us too. And then if you guys are listening to this in the morning, hit the subscribe button wherever it is that you get your podcasts. And then most importantly here, tell your friends about the show. Tell your friends that you love it. Tell your enemies that you hate it. Because word of mouth is, ironically, in this digital world that we live in, still the strongest way to grow shows. So, Raj, any final thoughts before we get anybody out of here?
No, man, I'm excited. It's fun to be 1-0, get a win under the belt. Yeah, we'll back on Friday for this. Well, I'll be in the building, by the way, on Friday. I've never seen Kevin Durant play live. Every single
Yeah.
time I go, he's out or hurt or whatever it is. So excited to do that. Hopefully we're 2-0 after that.
Yeah, I'm also excited. I'm like this season, I think no matter how it goes, it's going to be fascinating. Obviously we prefer it to go positively so it can be fascinating in the positive direction. But no matter what, the Lakers refuse to be anything but normal.
Mhm.
This is a great way to kick off the season. Can't wait to continue doing these things. We'll be right back here tomorrow in what feels like a few hours. So until then, and until the next time you guys hear from us, I'm Anthony Irwin. That was Raj Chapalu. This has been the Lakers Lounge.